Hello, this is Network Root. I'm Chris, and this is News in Detail. This video will look at the recent news that 5nm is soon to go into volume production. The main article I've got comes from hexus.net. I'll link it below. We can see that they've said TSMC will begin volume production of chips using 5nm, aka the N5 process, starting this month. Taiwanese IT industry DigiTimes has provided this timescale tip-off and adds some of the first processors benefiting from this process will be the A14 Bionic SoC. Taiwan's leading contract founder reported that it was very happy with the full node stride from N7 to N5, representing, quote, an 80% logic density gain and about a 20% speed gain compared to the 7nm process. They say that they're getting good yields from their test production, which is interesting. Definitely this early on, they're already getting a good yield out of it. Again, we are 1 month away from production, so I would be very interested to know what good yield actually meant. But I assume it's not good enough that they're confident to tell the public that just yet. N5 will adopt EUV extensively, and TSMC expects a very fast and smooth ramp to N5. Okay, mobile and high-performance compute have major orders already, but of course won't account for all orders on the N5 line. TSMC expects N5 to contribute about 10% to its wafer revenue for 2020. 10% for the first year of a process is... They're expecting to ramp up pretty quick by the looks of it. This looks like as quick of a ramp up as they did with 7nm. Overall, it's predicted further increased performance. It will actually be a large and long-lasting node. Sure. Oh, they've put a coronavirus update in. That's cool. I didn't see that before. While other high-tech manufacturing nations have felt a heavy impact of COVID-19, Taiwan, despite proximity to China, has beat the odds and it only has 49 cases and seen only 1 death at the time of writing. To put this in perspective, it's recorded the first on the 20th of Jan. Traditionally, lots of trade and people moving between an island and China. It currently looks like Taiwan's government's preparedness and steady hand will mean manufacturing at TSMC won't be stalled. That's interesting to note, because I imagine a lot of Intel's manufacturing will be stalled because most of the Western world has closed down. So that's interesting. Okay. They mentioned the investor call, so I did pull that up. And they did say that 10% of their wafer revenue in 2020 would be 5nm, which is a very definitive statement to be making this early on. So there's a lot of confidence that they have that this is gonna come true. So, is it true? Well, yeah, as far as we can tell, this is their transcript of the conversation they've had with the investors. They seem confident that they can do this, and they're already. If you see down here, they're talking about 3nm. That's N3. We're already working with customers on N3's design. Progress is going well. Decision-based technology maturity. N3 will offer another full node scaling benefit. We expect our 3nm technology will be the most advanced foundry technology, both when it's introduced. Well, the fact that they're already talking to investors about 3nm and 5nm is essentially considered all but a success at this point already, pre-launch, should tell you all you need to know. Now, what exactly does this news mean to you listening? Well, honestly, not a huge deal. The only impact you're going to see from this news is, well, in future, when the node's been out for a while, a lot of things will start moving to it. But if you're an iPhone user, this will bring you better battery life in your phones, because obviously it's, what did they say, 80% better at the same power or something? I can't remember what they said. I'll go back to here. 80% logic gain and 20% speed gain. So obviously you want a mobile processor as efficient as you can possibly be, so it'll be underclocked to the point where it's just providing enough to power the phone. To do that, this gives them more of a window to reduce the power usage. So whether they're going to shrink the phone batteries to compensate, I wouldn't put it past Apple doing that. But if they kept the same phone battery size, you should technically get longer usage out of your phone with the A14. That's about all the benefit I can see you actually getting from this, though. Long term, everything's going to probably move over to 5nm from your GPUs and processors, but I do think that's a couple of years out. Because problem is, I don't think it's, unless Intel can seriously shape themselves up, I don't think AMD have any incentive to try and push N5 anytime soon. They're already far more efficient than anything Intel's making, so why put the costs up and move node, especially when there's less supply on N5? I think 7nm now for AMD is approximately 30% of TSMC's, company makeup. It's down here actually. Yeah, 27%. I imagine that'll be higher now in 2020. So they just couldn't make everything they wanted to. I almost said 10nm then. 5nm. So I've gone through and looked at a number of stories. They all seem to cooperate. The final thing to ask when we're looking at the news then is, what does this globally, like in tech in general, how does this affect the market? What does it matter? The most worrying part of this is the fact that Intel's still worrying about 10nm process, and we're now getting 5 from TSMC. That means, I know it's not, when you're comparing different fabs, it's not exactly 1-to-1, but it means roughly TSMC can make transistors about half the size of Intel can now. And once Intel get to 7nm, TSMC is expected to be at 3, which is over half at that point. That it's very troubling to see just how far behind Intel has become. And if they don't have a Hail Mary somewhere behind closed doors, if Intel don't get to 7 nanometer in the next year or two, we will be talking about a situation where Intel are still trying to get 10 nanometer and the competition is at 3. And that, for the tech market in general, but for especially processors and graphics, will be very, very, very bad. Because we will have created in AMD what we was fighting against with Intel. Because make no mistake, these companies aren't your friends. As soon as there's no competition, they will stop innovating. I think that's about it for that piece of news. It's interesting. And I'm glad to see it going so well, so soon. I can't wait to see what wait to see what else other than iPhone gets released on this node this year. Because I noticed in their investor call transcript, they said there's HPC, like high performance compute companies involved in 5 nanometer already. Apple isn't the only one, according to their transcript. So hopefully we very soon find out what high performance compute is being done at 5 nanometers. Hope you enjoyed this little news update, and I will see you again tomorrow.